Recorded April 30th, 2026. Good afternoon, evening, Alistar, Rod, Franklin. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Wow, there's no energy. Just
yeah. The energy's here. It's just I don't know how to respond to that when it's like, hey, I don't know if we're supposed to applaud if that's what you're looking for.
Today, Claude, verbal command.
I said applaud, not Claude.
Claude, create me 3 virtual hosts to accompany me that want to do work.
It can do
Scrape
that.
our website to get their personalities, and I'm going somewhere with that. I don't know if I should say it. Rod probably want me to say it.
Yeah.
If
you've got SERP running, it will scrape that website, right? At least from a search perspective.
It'll scrape your website. I did something cool today. I'm trying to deploy. But how's everyone doing? Let's start with you, Mr. Pugin. How are you doing today?
No complaints. Busy. It's the busiest year in IT for me this year. And I'm old, right? It is January didn't slow down. You'd expect to have some sort of slowing down, especially in the Southern Hemisphere with, Christmas and it being sunny. Everyone takes off from the 15th of December to the 15th of Jan. It's our summer. No, people straight through. And it's been my busiest year, 30 years in IT, and this has been the busiest year for me. Everything is AI.
It's odd that 2 years ago, I was in Australia and New Zealand at Christmas. Yeah, we got there December 23rd. Everybody was gearing up and saying they were done. I said, "Oh man, you guys on Christmas break?" They were like, "No, it's summer break." My brain couldn't so the kids are not getting out because it's Christmas. They're getting out because school is over. Yeah. It's summer break, Edward. It took me a day to figure that out. My wife said, "Are you daft? How is this hard for you to figure this out?" Well, these kids, how are they out of school? And then you see everybody dressed up and they were graduating. And when it happened, we were in Melbourne. And
Melbourne, yeah.
I crashed every Christmas party. Yeah. All these big companies were having Christmas parties.
Australian government server.
Huh?
I thought you were going to say you crashed every Australian government server because.
No, man, come on. I wouldn't do that. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I wouldn't do that.
No, it could have been on accident.
Yeah, it's not an accident. There are major companies. I'm about to say the blatantly obvious, but there were big, huge companies that definitely resonate in the United States. Like SAP had a huge party. I crashed that one. It was like some big companies, just like Deloitte had when I crashed that one. They were drinking in the middle of the day, man, like 12 o'clock. This lady was like 4 beers into her party, and they're like, "Come on in, have a good time." And I forget the company. Yeah, it was good stuff though. But anyway, I'll start off since nobody have any energy. I'll be the agent here. I got to attend the Microsoft AI Roadshow in Atlanta at the convention center. 2,000 people, extremely crowded. Lots of partners, lots of customers. They denied me a pass when I filled it out. "Oh, we had a pass." I walked up and showed up, and it goes to say, if you act like you belong there, nobody will question you. Put your head up and your chest out, and act like you're important. Someone say. So what the secret is, take your badge and quickly pull it up to their face so their eyes can adjust. "Hey, oh, I'm sorry, sir. Thought."
I think that works for FBI too.
So. Yeah, I really did that. Walked on in, and it was, I as a dutiful employee of Microsoft, it was excellent. How about that? Lots of questions, and I got the questions later on that night. I got invited to. Can't say happy hour anymore in this environment. You have to say social hour. So I got invited to a social hour at a very nice place downtown Atlanta. It was put on by Avanade and Accenture. So thank you to everybody at Accenture and Avanade that invited me. Lots of customers, lots of questions, lots of perspectives of where this artificial intelligence thing is going. Lots of multi-model users. Why people, I was told by numerous customers, why we have chosen Copilot is our model, whatever it may be. It is not our only. They were still evaluated. The biggest thing that I saw is that almost of the 10 customers I had a deep discussion with, and the more people drink liquid courage, the more they talk and the more I listened. I'm like, really? They all said it. We will have a multi-model because Copilot is great for our back office and collaboration and what we do. But if they had a developer environment, they did not want to use Microsoft as a sub-processor. They went directly to the other model to build it. Yep.
Yeah, I get that. I do the same thing with the things that I develop. I'll use the best tool for the job. There's certain ones that are better at development. There's certain ones that are better at responses. There's certain ones that are better at acquiring the most current data. And so I'll switch back and forth and have them talk to each other.
And doing that, yeah.
How's your GitHub Copilot subscription doing?
It's a trap, Rod. Don't ask me. Remember who you work for.
GitHub Copilot subscription. Yeah,
it's good. I'm not having any problems at all.
It's all good.
I haven't had a token timeout or anything. I've been using all the models. It's great.
Yeah.
To our listeners, we're not trying to antagonize you. We know that there have been some ways. But let me say this really quick, and then we'll move on. And Frank, go to you, and then Alistair and Rod about what you guys been doing this week, and then we'll get into the meat of the show. I really want to make sure we hit on all these topics. I was talking to someone about that, and man, that bite up. I said, "What do you think was going to happen? You're using this product, you're using it on a subscription base. Somebody's paying for that sub processor in the background, and Microsoft has been picking up the cost. There's no more cost pickup. So you still have the free subscription. The subscription is free. You got to pay for the usage. And I just, I wonder, I'm like, what? I'm able to go down here, auto, or choose whichever one I wanted is modal of reference, and I didn't pay anything other than that. What? This data center and these GPUs and CPUs and NPUs are not cheap and they're not free. And it goes to show. This is a classic thing that goes back to the urban saying.
Didn't you just offer your hardware up and rent it out to people? I mean, then you're good to go. Put a model down there.
I have already made some money by renting my rig out. I surely did. And he wanted to borrow and show off, and he was I don't think I can say his name, but he writes some of the I'm gonna say subroutines, but he writes some of the capabilities for Grand Theft Auto as well as Call of Duty. So that software development is very modular, right? Probably should have said that. When they branched this out, so his job was he was in charge of facial expressions and textures. And so that was pretty. So there's a specific people that say, yeah, my whole job is to make sure that you can't be smiling as you've been filled full of holes. So they go through it. And he didn't run the official company renderings and software against it. He wanted to test it out because when you work for companies like this, you have to use their hardware. I did not know that. So they have a combination, and he wouldn't tell me what model that they used. But it was interesting when he showed me something. I said, that's cool. He said, so why'd you build this machine? I'm like, it was a bet from a friend of mine. And every time I talk to either one of them, I spend money I don't have. And so,
you still haven't done your homework yet.
Oh, I've done that a long time ago, man. The magic number is 2. There you go. 2. And,
well, I have to say, I'm actually pretty excited about some things that they could possibly. So I see some product enhancements that are much needed, and I think I think they will do that, and those announcements will be at Build. So I think that Build has an opportunity to be a great show to watch online, at least for me, because I'm not going.
This is the first time I know Rod tried to get me to go to Build 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, Rod. Golly, man, we known each other a long time.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't get there. But this would be one of the years I would want to go to Build, man. I want to see, because something else showed up by mistake, and I don't think they meant to push it out. The Defender has the new portal. I saw it today, publicly available. Did you see it, Rod?
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? There's like, this is a Defender portal. I went to my portal. I was like, and this was a customer. I don't have that in my lab, and it's slick.
I would suggest Build is absolutely a must attend this year.
Gotta go.
Because of the orientation to some things happening at Microsoft.
And if anybody in Microsoft is listening, talking about, well, you should have talked about the new portal. Well, you shouldn't have produced it. I had a client that showed it to me.
Please tell me the new Defender portal doesn't look like the Purview portal. Please.
That's the model. Purview's the model.
I'm just trying to mess with Alistair there. So
wait till you see it. I thought it was settings. I said, well, let me just go to my portal and change the settings. Totally different. I got a screenshot of it. Maybe toward the end of the show, I'll show it. Maybe put in show notes. But it's very minimalist, and I do mean skinny. So I thought it was RBAC, and if it's RBAC, that's what people have been asking for. Minimize the portal to show me the only things that are inherent to my job. Don't give me all the stuff on the side. I don't do incident investigation, so and so. It looked like that, and he said, "No, I'm GASA That's the thing, AIA, and I tried to go into mine, and I did it, and it's not in my demo template at Microsoft. So evidently, he's on some ring that pushed it to it, and I guess it's cool. I mean, he asked me he said, Ed, have you seen this? I've never seen this, man. One last thing, and like I said, we'll go straight for next. What else did I see? Oh, cool thing. So I was doing a Sentinel data lake demo today, and I was.
I think I got the new one here.
Yeah, the new one.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
In this tenant, I do.
Okay, because
looks kind of reminds me of Purview.
It's like Purview, does it? Nice, same colors, right? If you are really seeing this, I like. Okay.
Oh, that was just a guess on my part. I hadn't been in this tenant in a while, so there you go.
So, working in Sentinel, working inside the data lake. I was finishing up a KQL query and notebooks piece of it. And then I see it in there. So when you're doing a KQL search job, I saw tools. You can't know everything. And I had to admit to the customer, I haven't used this. So in my personal tenant, in Microsoft, my own demo, there's nothing in it. And then my other tenant that I don't allow Frank in anymore, I don't have anything there either. And frankly, I'll give you access here next week. I got GSA set up. So I got you on something.
I've already got access. Don't worry. I'm good.
If you got two, you got one. Got it. I gotta I'm just gonna disconnect my network and then look at the outgoing traffic request and see if that's Franklin going out. So in KQL jobs, which you can search over a data set size and a time. There's something called tools. And you don't want to seem like a buffoon in front of the customer, but this customers are friendly. That's the deal. I said, sir, I'm not gonna lie, I've not done this. So what it does, you build out these tools. So some of the people in the Microsoft sponsor one had built tools out. I saw some people's names. Stefan was in there a bit. Some of the folks I know. So I click on it and I see it and I go, evidently I can't run them because I don't have permissions. So I do what people who has a lot of experience, we never do. We go read the manuals. I said, oh, when you build these tools out and you right click on it, you give the tool the skill to the agent. So you allow the agent to use this tool as a skill. So it says, do you want to send this to Foundry, Copilot for Security, and a couple of others. So I finally read up and said, oh, when you build a tool in your search, you're telling that agent you have this skill to be able to do these things so you can build a multi-toolbox. I'm going to play with it. It's actually pretty cool. And I did not know that. And so now the fact that it auto populates like 4 different AI type of capabilities, it says Security Copilot, Foundry, Copilot Studio, and it said a couple other things. And so now when you do it, you tell, hey, Security Copilot, when you run this KQL thing, you have all these skills. So if you find something, it's cool. If you find something that was not part of the KQL query, reference your skill set to see if you need to bring this thing in to be able to do it. And I'm like, I did not know that was there at all. And I can see huge parts. I think big shout out to Chris Seltzer. Hey, Chris, if you are using that, come on the show and tell us about it. Stefan in Italy, we're going to get you on. I want to hear more about that because it actually said, do you want to incorporate an MCP server into your skill set? And you get to choose the MCP server as part of the tool and skill that the agent does. So it was, and I looked at a couple of people's how they had it built out because you could edit it, and then I saw it, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. I like that. So that's all I got. Frank, what'd you break?
You know, what I'm going to talk about will lead right into Alistair. So let's do Rod. If he doesn't have anything, then I'll talk about.
Okay. No, I was interested whether you were talking about salsa or club soda. So I don't know what that was.
Chris Club Soda, come on the show again.
Club soda, you need to come back. Because he'll definitely have energy with all those bubbles. That's a horrible joke. Hey, so it's been a week. And I'll say that again, Build will be an interesting event this year. If you can't attend, you should definitely watch the live stream. There's some things going on right now. You're gonna anyway. Keep that in mind. I'll be at MMS at the Mall of America next week. I've been working on the sessions today and tomorrow. In fact, I built the sessions, the decks, a few weeks back, and today was my first chance to actually go back and go over them. I have some, speaking of the Sentinel tools, I have a demo that I'll be doing next week, and I actually built something off those Sentinel tools. I built an MCP server for Sentinel. In one of my sessions next week, I'm going to teach everybody how easy it is to build your own MCP server against Data Lake and Sentinel Graph. So that's going to be interesting. It actually works pretty well. It's just a bunch of Python, but it all works with JSON. So it's really easy to do, but I think it'll be interesting because I think more and more, as we talk about Sentinel and the SOC and SIEM and SOAR, that's a lot of manual work. And as more security individuals get into Copilot, GitHub, Python, Claude, all of them, I think we're going to see more and more organizations start to develop their own stuff really quickly, really easily to fill gaps instead of waiting for budget or waiting for someone to make a decision somewhere for a piece of software needed to fill gaps. And that's a piece of what I think you'll hear it Build this year as well. But I'm talking about creating the MCP server next week. Noodles in our chat, he has this Sentinel as code thing that's really cool that everyone should check out. I'm also going to be talking about Purview next week. I got a few demos for Purview. There will be some interesting conversations around announcements around Purview in the very near future. Another tidbit you might want to pay attention to at Build, of all places. But yeah, that few other Purview sessions next week, some security sessions. It's a great event. I have actually put all of my session decks, the recordings, the tools, the Python, all the code out on this GitHub repository. If you can see that on my GitHub in the MMS OA repository, so anyone can go have fun with that. And there, of course, is Noodles, Sentinel blog for that. So that's about it. But like I said, it's been a week. This has been probably the busiest week I've had since last week. So
So before we go over to Frank, Big shout out to Noodle. Noodle took time out of his immensely busy schedule to jump on a call with me with a customer who decides they want to try to run Cribble and AMA on the same box. And so Cribble came on. Noodle came on, actually gave me the level setting that I need. Very plain answers. And so when I have that call with that customer coming up, I can have a very frank conversation. See what I did there? I'm gonna have a very frank conversation with them, which is no nonsense. Like, what are you doing, right? Because I've been trying to solve a problem with no context, so I don't know what the end game is. And now they shared more information about what they were trying to do, and it helped. It's a British customer, so you go get a Brit, they come talk Brit, and Brits talk, and they share, and they felt friendly. Now, like, I know what you're trying to do now. So thank you so much for Noodle. I really appreciate it, man. I owe you 2 now. So that's it with that. I really appreciate that. Yeah, man. Yeah. Bro, you're always busy. So you can't tell everybody you're tired and busy. You put out 9 blogs a day. You put out your book. You write this stuff. You do that. You find time to harass me during the day. You go out for a 10-mile run every day. So, I'm going to tell you. That's why you make all the money, man.
Yeah, I guess.
My tech week was all Foundry, but I'm ending it in Agent365. So, and some partner training with Agent365. So I'm going through all the labs and all that stuff. I'm like, hey, let's get Alistair on. I guess this is GAing in a few days. So let's get him up to date, because really implementing a lot of the different, going through Purview, Entra, and so on. It really seems like you have to connect a lot of dots to make everything work the way that you want. At least that's the way it feels in the labs. So that's why I asked Alistair to come on and tell us where everything's at, see if my assumptions are right after running the labs, or also if there's just an easier way and making things more difficult for myself. So how are you doing, Alistair? You're on mute, by the way.
When he comes off mute, the lights are going to go out.
There he is.
What happened last time? I'm just saying, Alice.
Am I on the right? Yes. No, weirdly enough. No, the lights won't go out.
I still can't hear you.
The time off.
Just kidding.
What?
Just kidding. I'm sorry. Couldn't help it.
He did the same thing, Mr. Agent Zero. Did the same thing to me when I jumped on the call. Speaking about agents and all things agentic, right? Agent365, it's been around for a while. It's not new. Is that what you're referring to as it's going GA now? Yeah?
Yeah, it's going GA, I think May 1st, I think they said.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Frontier stuff, it's been in the tenants, but, speaking to a customer earlier today, speaking to a partner earlier today, and, they're building a governance tool to look at all these things, and it's a vendor, actually, it's not a partner. And they were saying, technical readiness for Copilot. And I said to them, nobody's done it, right? Nobody's gone through technical readiness for Copilot. Everyone's just handed out Copilot licenses, and I guarantee you people are building agents. And nobody's got any visibility into what these agents do. And I said, it's perfect. You've got Microsoft giving you the freedom of building multi-model agents, right? And you've got Claude now and everything else that's available to you inside of Copilot Studio, MCP, API tools, context, memory, all of those things, right? Tuning and everything else, right? In Copilot Studio, you can build stuff in the agent builder inside of Copilot Chat if you've got a license. And people have agents. We don't know about it. Customers don't know about it. Just like, typical application registration living in Entra. And now you have Agent365 that comes at a cost. But if you don't want to spend the money, buy an E7, because then it's free. And it's the control plane for managing agents inside of Microsoft 365. That's what it is, right? It glues, it glues everything together. Entra, Defender, Purview, and it lives inside of the M365 admin center. And let me qualify this. It gives you some management of agents that people build inside of Microsoft 365. And if you don't license it, your agents won't show up inside of the agent registry. And you've got a fair amount of control. Let me qualify that. You still have to do the Purview stuff. You still have to do the Defender stuff. Rod's got some great scripts for AI things. But it's a management layer for when you are building agents inside of your organization, and yes.
But so Agent 365, I don't think is that difficult to understand. I mean, okay, so you enable, disable agents, you see what they're doing and all that other fun stuff, right? The observability of them. But realistically speaking, it really comes down to understanding how to wire things together with Purview, Entra, and other safeguards that are out there that's in place. And I think that, I'm still jumping from portal to portal to portal. Will all this just get, assimilated into the new Defender portal? No, I mean, so I think that, so people that are going out, I don't think that you're really implementing Agent 365. You're using Agent 365 and then connecting all these other things to meet the tasks that you're looking for. I spent a lot of time in DSPM now with inside Purview and so on, and all the changes that they've made there to include agents with inside Purview. When they put a policy out for whatever, it's ending up, you're looking at alerts with inside a risk. So I mean, you still seem to really kind of be bouncing around. Even though they're providing you all the functionality, I still think as a consultant or people are implementing this, you really need to understand how to wire all of this together. Where Agent 365 is just kind of somewhat of the face of it.
Well, let's go back to this. Let's level set. Alistair, tell us what Agent 365 is in your own opinionated terms. So we're throwing out this word, and we've said it on the show before. And I know what my spiel is, and you do all this other stuff, and you've heard the people that get up on stage and talk about it. But just tell me, if you had to tell a customer, hey, Alistair, what is Agent 365? What is it?
Well, it's a control plane, right? Like I said in the beginning, it's a control plane for agents, that lives inside of the admin center, and it's sort of a control service, for lack of a better term, that you can use to discover, I wouldn't say onboard, but mostly discover, right? Think about an M365 admin. He doesn't know what his Copilot licensed users are doing, right? They're spinning up agents. So, he gets to discover, right, from a agentic sprawl, like we've seen with Team sprawl and SharePoint sprawl, same thing, right? It's a control plane to govern, discover, govern, and secure, mostly, the big words, right? AI agents that your dev team's building and deploying, third-party agents that are being added to your environment because of an application. Like, you just said, I can hook up Copilot Studio into Sentinel, right? When you do that, you're deploying an agent or consuming an agent, or mostly you're probably deploying an agent that's going to be doing things. It's going to live, if it's Copilot Studio, it's going to live in Microsoft 365. It's not going to live in Azure, right? So yeah, it's a control plane for managing agents inside of your environment. That's what Agent 365 is.
Okay. And that's in line to what
But when you say it's living in Microsoft 365, is it not creating agent IDs in Entra when you're coming out of Copilot Studio?
Yeah, that's also kind of new, right? From a naming convention perspective, when we talk about an Entra agent ID, what is that? Where does it show up? It's an app reg with permissions, right? That's graph permissions. That's all it is. We've just given it a fancy name right now, because every agent you build will get an app reg that has permissions based on how you scope the agent, API, MCP, pick a flavor, the tools, the topics that you're deploying. That agent is an application registration because it needs to talk to a service like SharePoint or Teams or OneDrive or whatever it's connected to from a knowledge perspective, and it's going to need Graph API permissions. And that happens through Entra.
Yep.
So yes.
It is actually the messaging for those who are not in it daily, and especially if you're trying to bring up the C-suite or the security. The thing is, I'm learning is that talking to some of the people at the social hour, the CIO says this Agent 365 is a security thing. You give it to CISO. The CISO said, "This is not me. This is an identity thing, and you need to handle this." Right? So no one really knows what's it for. Yeah, I know you can provision, enable, build, import, but last night was the first time I really started to hear security practitioners, professionals, and owners say that is not a security tool. And I'm like, okay. They say exactly what you said. It's an observability platform, but they're, other than block or uninstall, it's not a security product.
It's a little bit more than when it first dropped, right? I mean, yes, it's GAing tomorrow, May 1st, right? You can literally go to, Microsoft.com/Microsoft-Agent-365, big announcement. GA May 1st, right? Available May 1, Agent 365. And in the beginning, when they split, because it used to live inside of the Copilot blade, it was all sort of, meshed together in the Copilot blade inside of the M365 admin center. Then they split it, and we didn't know what it was. It was Frontier, and then Microsoft made the announcement. Agent 365, part of an E7 bundle, you should be upgrading to an E7. I thought there's no way they're going to sell E7 licenses. I completely believe customers that are on an E3 shouldn't even bother going to an E5. They should go straight through an E7, because if they've got Copilot licenses, they're already screwed, right? So yes, in the beginning, there was not much configuration for an agent inside of that little weird M365 admin center bubble, right? Wasn't much, right? Frontier agents just got deployed. There was no deployment framework. Things just happened to show up in your tenant. With Agent 365, you get to manage all of that. You get an agent registry where you can see all your agents. And then you've got things like permissions, right? Security. Specifically, depending on the type of agent that you deploy, you get other tabs that show up when you look at that physical agent in the agent registry. Let's see if I can pull it up. But you get to know where it was deployed, when it was created, who's consuming it, what it's connecting to. And that's a little bit more than just, weird observability. And you get some form of control inside of it when you look at how it's been configured. So it's an observability platform where you can implement, well, let me use that term lightly, that will give you guidance into implementing governance for agents that you build wherever you're building it from inside of Microsoft 365. It's more than just an observability tool, right? Again, you need a governance program to support it, right? AI council things, but you definitely need that. Otherwise, it's going to mean nothing to you.
How does data security posture management, DSPM, overlay with Agent 365 from dealing with that side of it? Because I'm doing a lot with inside Purview now, dealing with agents, looking at sensitivity labels and how what's being tracked and called, and using audit for that and so on. So where does that overlap with Agent 365 with inside the admin center, or is that just somebody else's different job? So whose role is this for Agent 365?
I don't think that role exists today in an organization. It's going to be inherited by I don't. It's the same with saying, well, how does application security posture management fit into Entra, right? So whose problem is it? Is it the DevOps team's problem because they built an application that just happens to have an app reg inside and some sort of service principal living inside of Entra? Is it the identity people's problem because it's in Entra, or is it the security team's problem? And you're going to have the same issue with agents, because you know, that you've got someone that worries about AI. You're going to have a CAIO, right? And then you're going to have a prompt engineer. Those are the two sort of industry standards from a role definition, but nobody knows who's going to be responsible for agents.
I mean, would this be more of a defender? So you got defender for cloud apps, right? That person was responsible for saying, here's the registry of cloud apps. And here, it was more of a identity and access management side of what was allowed there. Does that person now, since that shadow IT problem has been resolved, does that person move over to the shadow AI issue, but also take on the internal agents that are not really shadow and dealing with identity and access management side of it?
I mean, while he's thinking on that, if you have to bring this back to how, if you would tend this to, like, let's look at the way agents are being portrayed. They're going to be your new coworker, enabler. They're not, I think the displacement conversation has gotten old. It's going to come for your job and all this other stuff. And now people are being more receptive to that. You're going to work along a non-biological entity as a coworker, and you're starting to think less of it. If you wait 10 years down, robots won't be a novelty, right? You already got robots that are running 48-minute half marathons, right? So how do you, I think that it's the things that you're not talking about are going to be the things that are eventually going to be the scratch your head. Like, how does HR deal with something that acts like it's, it's a living thing? And let me just do a big brain and a beer infused, like, scratch your head question. What if someone came to HR and said, this agent says something inappropriate to me?
Well, that's a completely different issue, which I'm also trying to figure out here, because, so a lot of people are looking at that right now when they have quote unquote guardrails, right? So when you deal with compliance versus security, I see that some of that stuff right now is running into security, where to me, that's really more of a, whose role is it to make sure from a compliance standpoint that the agents are following their, naughty language guardrails and are not being bypassed there and doing that? Who's responsible for that?
So Rod, if you click on the security tab where you are, open up any agent. You can open up Workday.
Open up any agent. All right.
Let's see if it pops up. Yeah, click on the security tab. You don't have rights.
All right.
You want me to do it?
Coming back, I mean, I can show you. Coming back, Frank, to your question around who's going to be responsible for these things. Hold on, let me grab a screen. Share screen. Entire screen. Let's just go here. Share. Okay, that should come up. And then
because
do you have to add my share to the Is anyone seeing my screen?
Hold on.
Can you get it?
I'll put it there. You go.
There we go. Okay, great. So if we look at Workday, right, and coming back to your question, Frank, if you look at the security stuff, right, this is just, and some of these things change, right? If you look at all of this, right, everything says you actually physically need to go do stuff in Purview, right? I mean,
that's what I'm talking about, connecting the dots situation going on.
So who's going to be responsible for this when we look at the security stuff? It's saying, hey, there's some compliance gaps, protecting sensitive data, and monitor agent activity, right? So if I click on that, where is it? Oh, that's just going to take me to no, it's actually going to log me in.
And part of monitoring agent activity there, they're sending you into Purview audit to take a look at what's going on.
Yeah. So there's a lot more.
Does the Sentinel Purview Office connector, does the Sentinel Purview connector, Office connector, M365 connector pull that stuff into Sentinel? I don't know the answer to that from the agent activity standpoint.
I don't know. Outside of that, you can see activity and permissions and things. So definitely a decent control plane to have a look. And this is specific to permissions from a graph perspective. Again, app reg. We've got some form of what's happening inside of Entra, right? From that weird Entra agent ID thing, right? Do you have a policy that's going to dictate, or how do you standardize Entra identity patterns for every agent? So this is least privilege, and this is what it needs to be, and where you're going to see that, right? So how do you adhere to specific things? But there's not much. You've got the registry. There's a map that will show you things, right? And then you've got some other things over here. So there's a couple of things in here. There's 25 Copilot Studio agents, there's 7 agent builder agents. One thing it doesn't cover is the app builder, which is a separate agent that Microsoft ships, which is quite scary. But you can also look at the tools that you have from an MCP server perspective. Again, observability. You can go have a look at well, they don't give you much here from an MCP perspective. I mean, that's Frontier, but it's also blocked. Yeah, and it just gives you a description, and it tells you, oh, there's some URL things here. What does that actually open? I don't know. Come on.
It's Microsoft, though. You should trust it.
It's just some weird, there's not much in there, right? Yeah. So it gives you much more, and then obviously overview will give you the registry. If you're not licensed for it, you won't see shit in this. Doesn't appear. So you have to pay the money for the license, and it's licensed per user, for you to actually go and use this tool from that perspective. But again, you're going to have to build a model. No, that's the wrong word, a methodology for what this thing needs to subscribe to, because it's not like, you're going to run some sort of assessment in Compliance Manager that's going to say, hey, you've got 72 agents that are rogue. There's no agentic score here that gives you a governance score for what this world looks like. I don't know if Microsoft's going to be building that, but how do you know what's good and what's bad? It does not tell you here.
So you're going to have to
There's
do all
nothing
that in
that says
Purview or
agents without owners.
You're going to have to do that inside Purview and Entra. I mean, there's a lot of things that are changing right now. I think in Entra you can do an overprivilege assessment. So you can do that. Also, the way that they're using an Entra, they have blueprints now for how your agents will be permissioned once they're created. Is also fascinating. So I really think that Agent365 is the scary thing that I saw there was that, hey, if you go back into whatever you were on Workday or whatever, there was the if you bring up the page for that, go to security. Where was it? Go to overview. Where was the consent? Yeah, grant admin consent. So, are the identity people in your environment going to be happy that people can just do this right here inside the environment? So I think there's a lot of fascinating things that are happening with this inside Entra, but I can also see where orphaned identities are out there and so on, and so on. So there is a ton to think about from an Entra standpoint, and there's a ton to think about from a Purview standpoint, and also making all that work together. And I think in here, this is more of the CASB Defender for Cloud Apps kind of UI, in my opinion, for what's going on and managing. Am I crazy about this?
No, not really, because
No.
you know, the Defender for Cloud Apps has always had self-attestation, whereas Microsoft has a team that goes out and look at this stuff and fills out and populates stuff, and then it's having more intelligence to look at certain key criteria that identify something as RAG or AI or agents. But there's going to be some major changes to the way Defender for Cloud App works here, and probably come out doing Bill. I think it goes away, and it's probably one of the first players that will marketing will take a shot at taking the word CASB off of it, right? And come up with something that's more centered toward looking at shadow AI. The reason I say that, not because I know something that Microsoft is doing internally is going to come out, is because I'm looking at the startups that are out there that are definitely proclaiming their product as shadow AI detection and monitoring type tools, and they believe that that's the next observational plane for it. Not Agent365, but being able to come in and come up with a way that no matter how the agent is created, that there are certain footprints, fingerprints, and behaviors that its shadow AI capabilities can take account of. I think that data protection and all of that stuff that used to be in a lot of these CASB solutions, those things are heavy, and they're going to probably be ported over to Purview, and that Purview is going to run a lot of that stuff, and then it's going to integrate the portion that doesn't go into Purview for policy detection and violation. That the endpoint EDR is going to be the thing that does an enforcement of it. So I think that the word CASB is probably on its death spiral, because there are so many other ways that you can see activity, and the endpoint is definitely the major inspection point for users. I never remember anybody running a CASB on a server workload, but it's going to evolve. I think that I don't even know what CASB stands for anymore. Cloud Application Service Broker or Cloud, something like that. But it's going to be a shadow AI tool to be able to do it. It's going to be a tell on you. I'm going to tell on you tool. And then the other ones will be enforcement. So there you go. That's my opinion. Oh, security dashboard for AI. Who's sharing their screen right now?
Me.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So I don't know. Well, this hasn't collected an inventory, right? Which is weird, because I've actually got, you saw there's an agent registry, and I've built a bunch of agents, and it's not showing up in this dashboard. Which is also, again, another portal. So do you live inside of Agent365, or do you go to the security dashboard for AI? I don't have an answer. Again, coming back to
I was told that this here is for security leaders to be able to have an overall idea of what is transversing and what is being paid for and that stuff. They didn't want to get into the weeds. They really wanted to see something that gave them a really high level of how pervasive agentic technology is in their environment. And it wasn't meant to do anything super specific, super ingrained, super invasive. It was just, if my people are telling me we're doing all this stuff in AI, I need to go in and see, are we hearing the governance? Are we doing anything? The reason I think that's opening a can of worms in Pandora's box, because if you take a manager and you give them something to manage and be able to come in and try to create artificial metrics, this is it. Because if you go in there and you see all the red X's, you got to go, whoa, that's something to manage, right? We got red X's. Why do we have red X's? Because they're not yellow. That's why they're red. But when I saw that, and then the way that Microsoft was touting this, that AI security dashboard is for security thought leaders and executives, I go, here we go. It's someone to come in without any context. This is secure score on steroids with a dash of HGH for security leaders now.
Well, you still need some sort of framework to manage agents inside of, identity and access management. the data access and all the DLP stuff, lifecycle and ownership, incident response around a rogue agent, right? All of those things still need to be built. It's not baked into the product just because you have observability, right? And observability means nothing without a plan, right? So, you need to start focusing on things like, roles and an operating model for who can and who can't build agents and what type of agents can they actually build. That technical readiness that we started around saying, well, you need to implement sensitivity labels and restricted content discovery and all the other bits and pieces. We are so far past that stage that we were at 2 years ago when people were just thinking about, the GPT-like experience. We are so far past that. And I think we're going to have, they say for every one human identity, the ballpark averages that you have 90 non-human identities inside of your world. That's the statistics as of like 3-4 months ago, right? And if you've ever looked at the Zero Trust poster that talks about the 6-7 pillars, the top left-hand corner talks about identities. Did you ever look at just below it? Actually, it's been saying non-human identities for the longest time, but we've never really looked at it until now, until the last year, where all of a sudden that Zero Trust poster that we use as our North Star, right, all of a sudden becomes massively real because we know how to govern human identities. It's easy, right? Phishing-resistant MFA.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's excessively secure that way, right? But think about all the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 application registrations you have living in Entra that's kind of managed by the identity admin, and now it's going to grow by a factor of 10 because everyone wants to build agents.
And I think that a lot of organizations are looking for those forward thinkers and sort of south allowing folks to create agents, even though they may not allow them to publish it. They allow them to build it, ask for permission, and put it out. So I think and corporations that are doing this, if you were to go in and inventory a lot of this stuff, probably some of the agents are just useless, but they are encouraging the next bright idea within the organization to come in and do these things to be able to see it. But then you got to have that governance of, you're going to get the real smart person. Nobody's really, not that I know anybody, I'm sure it's done it, but nobody's really went in and said, I'm going to write an agent to do bad stuff, right? I'm going to be nosy. You can say, well, I didn't do it. The agent did it, right? And it found out what the executive salaries are because you guys didn't lock down your sensitive data repositories. But I think that this is a huge clinical trial of where we are in clinical trials of agents right now. Put it out there, let's see what happens, and then we'll inoculate you on the backside if you make it. I don't know if that's a bad thing, but a lot of the folks that I talked to last night saying, not everybody, but they definitely went out and created multiple focus groups based on role, capability, perceived capability, and departments to see what type of ingenuity comes out of building these things. But you got some very smart people that may not be smart on your role chart, but they do it at home and the kid had taught them something or they're playing around with something. And I can imagine someone can build a very robust agent that can do something that could be very headache-ish to an organization. But I heard some great ideas last night. People were telling me, oh yeah, we had this one guy, he did this. And I'm like, wow, I didn't think he could do that. So good stuff. I'm having fun with it now. Frank has got me hooked on it. Ross got me hooked on it now. So I got to write more agents to give me ideas on how to create more agents. What can you do? But is agent and agentic technology the new shiny? We haven't said that word in a long time. Is this the new shiny, Rod?
It's the only shiny at the moment. Let's put it that way.
That's the new term.
It's not really new anymore, but it's the only shiny at the moment. At least.
Yeah. And this is one of those things too, that it is a transformative technology. You've had some technologies that were really geared towards certain things, certain countries, certain societies, certain groups, and everything else. This is pervasive. Everybody over the world's doing it. Everybody's in the race, and they're trying to figure this out. Because there were some places that didn't want to get into. I give you one example. 15 years ago, when people decided the data center was dead and we wanted to go to cloud, unless you guys have been doing this as long as I have, there weren't that many big players who decided we're going to do this. And so eventually you had 3 majors and maybe 3 minors that come out of this. AWS, Google, Microsoft with Azure. Oracle came later. I still consider Oracle part of the second 3. Maybe Alibaba, right? Mm. And I forget who I had as the 3rd in my mind. And then you have the third 3 that came out to do it. I thought that the part of the second 3 would have been VMware, and it never manifested. They had the hyperscaler. You just needed a place to be able to run it and then take it and do it, and they never did it. And so now, but this with the artificial intelligence, this is nation state. They believe that this is it. You cannot be left behind. And so China has taken a different approach to this. China's not trying to make their AI invasive to the consumer. They're making it invasive to the corporate manufacturing, how to improve how their country runs. I have heard on podcasts and I've observed it that we here are looking at it, how it makes the person better, how to make the person more effective. Amazon is the largest owner of artificial intelligence manufacturing in the world, with China being second. You got a company that has more deployed artificial intelligence to run their robotics than a country. A company now. And Amazon is 1, and then China's 2. It ain't Ford, it ain't GM, it ain't all these other things. Amazon are the thought leaders on how to use AI to affect their assembly lines. That's crazy, right?
Well, Terafab, right? The Elon Musk thing. He wants to build robots to build his starships, right? It's coming. It's coming. It's going to happen.
Well, yeah, I mean, because, if you're a sci-fi fan, you believe everything's possible.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to build big ships, if you watch enough Star Trek, specifically Star Trek, not really Star Wars. I'm never a Star Wars guy. No offense to the Star Wars guy. I'm just saying I'm a Star Trek guy.
I'm Star Trek. I'm a Trekkie as well. I'm not a Star Wars guy. So yeah. I'm on your page.
Big shout out to Vestu and everybody else that likes Star Trek. If you look at some of the newer ones, Voyager, when Voyager's not new, New Generation, Strange New Worlds.
Discovery, Strange New Worlds, yeah.
Go back far enough and you'll see that they were building the starships on Earth. But when you think some of the other ones, they built all these starships zero gravity. And so thinking robots to build these things out of zero gravity, because think how big a real starship would be on Earth, and you got to get this thing off the ground, and you got to build a warp reactor on the planet. So this is not far-fetched, Mr. Elon. Data centers, nuclear reactor on the moon, and there you got to build out in less than Earth gravity. So it has to happen. It's easier, right? You can weld in space. You don't have to worry about pollution. You just have to worry about if something falls on Frank's head. If it falls out of the sky. So you gotta build it away from our atmosphere, and that's coming, right? Mm-hmm. Hell, you solved the nuclear cooling problem by having a vacuum. The very thing that you want from a nuclear reactor is heat to convert steam into turbine to be able to do these things, but that's overheating. If I put a nuclear reactor, people are like, why are you cooling your reactor? It's space cooled. It's vacuum cooled. We don't think like that because we're not going to live that long. When that stuff probably happens, Frank and I and Rob, we're old.
Death will become a disease of the past, my man, by 2045.
Yeah. So I love these big brain ideas. Build the robots. Now put my brain in a robot body. Put my brain in a rod body. We'll go that route.
I'm ready.
Right. Back to reality, though, what we're doing with this. I've had my sci-fi moment. When you're building these agents out, we got Agent 365 and we're doing these things. Let's talk about something here. Also, I just hired you as the CTO of Agent 365 at Microsoft. Congratulations on the promotion. What's the next innovation? You're in an interview,
Automation.
Automation. You're in an interview. I'm paying you 7 figures a year, brother. I need some innovation.
Automation.
Sell.
I thought he just said Alistair. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I just. All right. Let's
you see, I was paying attention to you, so I pass.
Let's do this. Rod's been too quiet. It's not my fault. He's tired. Rod, what's the next innovation? You're the CTO of Agent 365.
Today's innovation is an agent that talks to other agents, that creates other agents, that just tells me at the end of the day how well I did at work. Does all my work for me. Does all my work. And I stop in for a minute, check on my agents, see that everything's okay, and just go back home.
That's available today.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about Agent 365 that's in the admin portal. Because why it's in the admin portal, Microsoft keeps describing it as a separate entity that does something that has nothing to do with admin. So I'm asking, I'll come back to you. I asked Franklin next. Franklin, you're the CTO or product feature manager or whatever else that owns Agent 365's capabilities. What's the next innovation?
I think that Microsoft is just going to really promote skills throughout all the products and let you enhance your capabilities of doing work by utilizing skills. And I think that's been a missing component. I can already see them putting in Microsoft Agent Framework. I think it's going to be surfaced out to a lot of areas where right now what we call agents today, they're going to open that up so you can utilize your own skills the proper way.
I see it. A preset pool of skills. So I can just have me a blank plate of agent that's already ready, empty shell. I connect the neck and program the skill into it and keep it moving rather than have to write it. Already pre-built. Okay. That works. Alice, you're the CTO. I gave you $250,000 signing bonus. You had to have all this vacation. What's the next innovation for Agent 365?
Agentic remediation. So everything that it says I should have from a guardrails perspective, coming back to what Frank is saying, build a skill that does governance, build the skill to do everything that we need it to do to govern the agents, and then have a remediation agent that I can talk to say, in the morning, like you have with Security Copilot and everything else, give me my top 10 OWASP vulnerabilities today. Boom, okay. What sort of exposure is my business at? These are the 5 things I need to patch, go patch it. Thank you very much. Close the console, come back the next morning. So automated remediation, remediation, not automated. I want a man in the middle. Otherwise it's going to delete my database.
So you want to do it on your phone through Teams.
I don't know if I want to
you don't even need to open the portal. Just go into Teams, here's what's going on, have the conversation, give the approvals, and go back to drinking. Is that the deal?
That's the idea. It's great that we're surfacing from an observability all of these things. I mean, if you look at the permissions there, it's actually applying least privilege. It's got those little bars on the right-hand side. So all I want to do is anything that's got high, go and notify the owner, because we need to make sure that we have owners. We don't have ownerless agents like ownerless apps, right? Make sure you notify the owner that within 24 hours we're switching this off if they don't fix the permissions. So it's about automation. That's what you need, and you can plug a blueprint into it to say these are my controls and these are my policies, and in very much the same way that you can script your own policies inside of Defender for Cloud, right? upload amazing tools available today where I'm going to look at Azure policy and I'm going to build all those controls from a baseline perspective. I want the same thing for agents, so that if anyone steps outside of what is allowed, I want a notification and I want to shut that down. That's what I want. That works.
That's good. So be fair, I'm going to ask myself the own question. And then I promise myself
I want all the portals to be sucked into the Defender portal, so I only have to go to one portal.
Yes, and that.
You can keep one.
I want to CLI. That's what I want, right? I want to interact with this via CLI, right? That's it.
So why do we need portals anyway? Why do we need them? We have agents. We don't need portals.
I'm going to give you mine, and this is a retroactive. We're moving so fast with this, and I'm a big fan because I came from a network background, that security by segmentation and separation. I believe that there's going to be an Entra AI directory. Think Active Directory only for agents. And that way, those agents are not super invasive into the same authentication fabric as your biological units. I think that when you build an agent, it will not automatically go into your Entra thing. If you have to think of a very basic way, think B2B. I'm thinking BAI. If you really want it separate, you're going to build a separate tenant, and you're going to put those agent identities in that tenant if you have to use the current technology. And then you're going to do something like AI lighthousing. So all those agents won't be in your tenant. They're going to be over there. And you're going to have a very specialized lighthousing thing to be able to do it.
So a sandbox, essentially.
Huh? A sandbox. Yeah. But it's going to be super robust. It's going to be a directory. Think Entra. Think if I had to go super old school. Some people said that the age of Active Directory on premises is still in that spiral, right? But think about it. When you provision a tenant, it asks you, is it agent only or AI only, or will something in? So the norm would be all your agents there with very few biological units that have identities inside of it. So you put all your agents in that. And so, what I would like to do is get Meryl to come on and debunk that, hey, Meryl, come on, tell me why my ideal is a bunch of BS. I think if you put that over there, and now you allow the screening not to be inside where the agents are, but the screening mechanism is right here. So as agents interact with this, you can watch it from multiple layers. What they're doing over here, what they're trying to do, talk across, and what they're actually doing in there. If you separate them out, you have a better chance of someone doing something nefarious and catching it. Because if you compromise the agent over there, there is a risk now. The risk is if your tools are not as robust on the agent directory and someone gets in and starts compromising other agents, you could lose your total agentic populace. But at the same time, you protect this. It's not new science. People always had sandbox, QA, pre-staging tenants, some of the bigger places, and you go. So by the time you put it inside of here, it's been vetted. You're going to have to do that. Because if you don't, in my humble opinion, I'm not a smart man, this agent stuff has turned an ordinary employee into a developer. Claude Code, Gemini, OpenClaw. You're allowing these things to happen in your environment with the hopes that you have security oversight and observational tools to detect this type of behavior. But your biggest risk, and I saw something, I can't say it on the call. I think I saw it, and maybe about it, Bill. I'm not sure. You have to treat agents as insider risk.
People, yep.
The minute they're created, they're an insider risk problem. Absolutely, they are. And
they're actually, those alerts are now going to insider risk when you activate some of the policies with inside data security posture management. So let me ask you this question. Here's a quiz for you. If you create an agent in a Microsoft Foundry project, how many agent IDs are created?
4.
Why do you say 4? Or you're just guessing?
I'm not guessing. Come on, Rod. I mean, come on, Frank. I'm guessing. You think this head is shining because I just look good?
When you publish, there's a 4th one that's created with a duplicate name of the that was created for the agent.
I do my homework, Frank. You can't get me, bro.
And all of the stuff and all of this, and when you're creating the agent, when you're pushing that out, it's using a blueprint object for you to assign all the permissions to. I'm just like, oh my goodness. And when you delete your agents and your projects, how long till those identities are removed?
180 days.
Are you sure?
No, I think it's 90, but I read 180.
Probably 90.
I think it's 180 because something was saying something. So which one is it? It's 90 and 180 days, Frank.
I can't find the docs on it because right now they're still sitting out there.
It's so funny you brought this up. Someone was talking about this. And I'm like, why? I don't know what 180 came in my head for. It's more likely it's 90. I'm conflating 90, but I knew it was 4 because something I saw something the other day like. What's it? Is it
made some changes? They just made some changes to the way that they're doing this recently.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah. No. I mean, and a lot of the training is broke because you can't actually deploy a model. So if you're like GPT 4.1, you can't deploy the model with the same name. Now they defaulted to like a -1, which has now broken a ton of the training because you can't deploy the deployment name cannot equal the model name. Just like, and that just came in like last Friday or something like that when I was going into a class. The day before everything was fine. And
somebody's connected. Somebody knows a couple things. So back to the topic of the show. How do you learn AI? Because Frank gave me the earful Monday. I'm studying for the 103 and 104 and the stuff right here. And I'm like, frankly, I don't know what to tell you, man. Just go take the exam.
You mean I was asking you for exam advice?
Yeah, you were.
I was?
Well, the world's going to hell, right? You got to ask me for exam advice. I'm like, I think I talked to the author of one of the packet publishing where Rod and I were at the MVP forum summit up in Redmond, and I saw his book, and I just sort of picked it up and looked through it. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm reading here. What are we doing here? So
like I said, I'm excited for Build to see what changes are coming.
Hey man,
there's definitely some things under hosted agents, and what they're going to do with that, and so on. So, Alistair, what advice would you?
Before we go, we gotta ask Guy because it's almost midnight. It's midnight and some change for him.
Well, tomorrow's a holiday though, so it's fine.
He gets to sleep in. You said something. So that whole harebrained idea that I had. Is that a real thing? You said hosted agents. I guess somebody has built this. You can build agents in someone else's environment and inject them with the ability to do certain things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I figured somebody had to have done this.
When you in Foundry, you have what's called prompt agents, which is just the visual design Copilot Studio which is hosted on its own. But now when you're developing in code, you can create what's called a hosted agent, and Microsoft will actually host that for you in technology like a container for you to work with. So it's actually different than how you would access a prompt agent. You're talking about hosted agents because before, when you're writing your own code, you were figuring out ways to actually deploy on your own in your current application or whatever, but Microsoft will manage that. The advantages of a hosted agent gives you a lot of access to the functionality that's inside Foundry for observability and all sorts of other fun stuff. So it's a key thing that I hope they get everything worked out on it just right.
One of my customers last year brought one of the most interesting things up, and I brought it up on the show, and I asked you because when he said it went, you're going to see user-side compute being used to run the agents. The NPUs that are in these modern PCs are going to run the agent to take that compute burden off.
Yep.
And when he told me that,
you asked the GitHub Copilot people about that.
And on that note, because I'm not getting into that argument.
Alistair. So, any parting words of advice for people to get started, or contacting you, or any of that sort of stuff, or where they can follow you so they can get up to date?
You can find us at, we've got Copilot Zero to Hero Season 2 kicking off on the 5th of May. Where we're talking about all thing agents. The site will be updated. So Copilot Zero to Hero, one word, .co.za. The new site publishes over the weekend, and it's a 20-week, 10-session program to help you getting to grips with Microsoft Copilot. Qualify that. This is not, well, Copilot Studio, Foundry, and a few other things. If you want to find me, I'm at Alistair Pugin on all the socials. LinkedIn, Facebook, X. I think I'm still on Blue Sky. But this is a very hot topic. And yes, go out and buy an M4 Mac Mini, and then host your GitHub stuff.
I'm waiting for. I'm hoping they come out with the next Mac Mini soon at their conference, and then that's what I'm buying.
Yeah,
I'm buying a Intel Arc, the B70 Pros, 32 gig card, right? And it's under $1,000. That's what I'm buying for that machine standing over there.
You buying a what again?
An Intel Arc B70 Pro GPU.
Okay, and the specs on it is?
32 gigs of DDR6 RAM.
I got one of them over there.
For $960. Yeah.
That's better than the $40,000 you spent there, Edward.
Yeah.
I got it. I caught it before everything went up. So Alistair, Franklin taught me to spending money that I don't have. They had me sleeping on the couch because my wife was mad at me. I built an AI rig because I wanted to learn something, and Rod encouraged me to. They're bad influences. They're just bad.
He's going to go over the specs because he's got to
I have
tell
to
everyone
brag.
again.
This is bragging a little bit. So I have I forget the motherboard, but the motherboard was PCIe, super fast. I think it was a Corsair. I put in the latest AMD Threadripper. I put in 256 gig of RAM, DDR6. I put in 3 NVIDIA Blackwell 4000 GPUs. Each one of them have 24 gig of RAM per card. The motherboard has an AMD Radeon card that has 16 gig on the motherboard. I put in 4 NVEs, 4 terabyte PCIe storage cards in it. I didn't put any SSID cards in it. I mean, drives, because they were too slow. And it's dual liquid cool. 4 inputs on that. I don't know how they did that. A big shout out to Micro Center. You guys took care of me.
And he literally just all he did was install Notepad.
Yes, pretty much. I do use Windows 11 Enterprise as the base OS, no VMs or anything else. And so I'm running Windows Linux subsystem when I decided to do this. I installed Lambda, whatever the latest one is, LLM Studio, and the memory on that motherboard does something I did not know. I can power it down, but the motherboard keeps the memory hot. So the instructions stay there, not cold. I can boot up in 4 seconds, and it goes to it. So it is blazingly fast. 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port and a 10 gigabit Ethernet port on the back. I'm choking my firewall here. You can't do anything with it.
You can't run a 1.5B model, but that's fine.
What? So I started to learn everything about it. Franklin put me on a little simple homework path of installing the MCP server and understanding that. And that's what happened. I didn't spend all this money. But what it does told me, I'm a networking guy. Turn that stuff on and watch the traffic. Even when you tell it, don't connect to the cloud or miles or local, they try to talk back. So I installed a couple of sniffers, and I installed a little simple one called Glasswire. Big shout out to Glasswire. I've been using it 15 years, guys. It started off as freeware, and you guys are still good. No malware. Keep it that way. No ads and bots. And you watch it. So even when you keep the models local, it still tries to talk back. So Llama Studio tries to talk on 14413, I think. I'm like, what is it doing? So that's a local server or local host head, but it kept trying to talk out. So I unplug the network card when I put it in airplane mode, and literally that's the thing that says don't talk to the cloud. It's called airplane mode. Watch the traffic. It's very interesting. So I did know that Frank's going to want access to my machine. So I went and bought a Buffalo NAS, and I put 12 terabytes so that if he wants to run his models when he's done, you don't have to, you just move them over there, but you can run the models. The OS is mirrored in RAID. And then if he wants one drive just for applications and one drive for models. So if you want to put your own model in, you can, but I've locked down the OS where you can't do anything to it. It took me a minute to figure that out. Shout out to YouTube how to lock down your OS drives so nobody can install anything in it.
Do you even live in the same house as your wife? Because with the amount of money you're spending, you're staying in a little garden cottage at the back of the property, right?
She slides my food up under the door.
That's the guest house.
She slides my food under the door. And big shout out to who told me this? Might have been Nathan. The power coming to your house is nasty, and I didn't realize that. So those cars are hypersensitive to the wave of that 120 coming out. I can hear the car spinning up. So I got a solar generator, put the panels in the window, plugged it in, and now and plug my device into that generator, so it smooths out it coming in. I learned everything about sharding, channeling. I can run models across, so the reason I did this is because one of my friends was bragging that he had 2 NVIDIA Spark GDXs. And I was like, really? Is that what you got? I went and saw one of those. They're about that big.
Yeah.
And if you pick them up while they've been running, they will burn your fingerprints off. Mm-hmm. They don't even have any forced cooling. There's all ambient air cooling. So I got on YouTube, people were putting them inside of a unit and running AC in a little box to be able to do it. Now I was going to buy some Mac Minis, but Frank went out and bought like 6 Mac Minis, stacked them up, and he did this. And I didn't want a Mac. I'm like, I'm a Windows man. But if you're ever in Atlanta,
my Surface Laptop Studio has handled everything I've needed so far, so I'm good to go.
Yeah, it's interesting. I did rent it out to a guy. He used it. He's like, "Why did you build this?" I said, "It was a bet or something." And the guy's like, "That's an expensive bet, Edward." Like, yeah, I know.
And what did you get for winning the bet, by the way?
I got to sleep on the couch. I had to get my wife a massage. When she asked me, and I'll close the show with this. This is something I told her years ago from one of my mentors. Edward, she called me Edward, so I'm in trouble. Edward, oh, yeah. I said, yes, ma'am. If I ask you the question twice, I already know the answer. How much you pay for the machine? How much? I said, Frank made me do it.
Frank made me do it.
It was peer pressure. I didn't want to do it. He said this was bigger than mine. I had to get a bigger machine. So I did it. I am going to donate it. I'm going to run it for a few more months, and then I'm going to give it away. There's a local charter school that's trying to do cyber AI stuff, and they don't have the resources. And I talked to one of the directors and said, it's yours. You can have it. I'll take the tax write. You can have the machine. You need to have this. Right? They just get you back to it. And it's running now. You don't hear anything. It has 9 cooling fans on it. You put the cooling fans on cycle. So it pulls it up on the side, on the back. And one thing that it did do, within the first 2 weeks, the power supply died. Mm. So they gave me a new power supply and didn't charge me anything. Big shout out to you, Micro Center, on it up to the warranty. They're like, who built this? You only got 1,100 watt power supply. They put a 16 watt power supply, 1,600 watt. The cabling is excellent. I have no cable management. Tight. And it's real cool. And the rubber fabric that keeps the air.
So when you go to dinner with your wife and you're there with friends and you start talking about this, what does she do?
I don't talk about it. That's like a person that won't stop telling you they just ran a marathon. You know I ran a marathon. Of course you did. You told me last time too. You just did that. Yeah. It's like the person that tell you that, you know, I stopped drinking and you're making me start drinking. I don't want to be that guy.
Frank made me.
So outside, we're going to get out of here because we're grossly over. You are coming to the States to go to something in Orlando?
No, I was supposed to be there last week. I didn't fly. But I make a plan to come over.
Oh, you could just, Frank didn't offer you his plane? I fly on Frank's plane all the time. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
If you need a place to stay, you can always in Atlanta. You can always go to Edwards. So
You always come around. All that needs about 3 days notice to make sure I'm here. You got a place to lay your head. Craig Fretwell, big shout out to you, Craig, from my British guys. He's coming to stay with me in August
In the guest house.
in the guest house.
So Frank, so Ed's house, right? The guest house, right?
Guest house. Yeah. Everyone, this is the AI Security Insights podcast. I did not let Alistar read the fine print. His time zone being irrelevant. He is now the 4th permanent host for the next 6 months. And my wife is laughing about it. She's like, the joke drop. You hear?
You better fix it. You better get out and fix her dinner. You're gonna.
I'm ordering sushi tonight.
Okay.
Actually Thursday. Alistar, you're more than welcome, man. You want to be a host? Come on. We got generous benefits. We give you a shit ton of stock options and all that other stuff to join the show. And we'll give you 100,000 options to join, and then if you add that with $5, you get a cup of coffee. And you get, that's it. Thanks, everyone. We'll be back here. Shout out to the 4 individuals that I met last night that told us we need to go back to at least 3 shows a month. I miss you guys. I was like, is that right? And he did say Rod is getting grayer and Frank's hair is getting darker. Yeah. Real talk. That's what someone said. I said, really? Yeah. I said, Frank used just for men. That's all it is. He's dying his hair. And we do that. Until next week, you guys stay out of trouble. Don't take any wooden nickels. Look both ways before you cross the street. And AI is your friend. Or is it? You guys be good. How do you end this show? You do it like this, right?
Click the button. Yep. Agent will do it for you.
It says
click the agent.
Outro and destroy the world.